They just bite monster machines. This is Neptune Squadron. We've lost visual. Repeat, Deathpion's in
In the void of the stars, a lone world screams. Star, the broken, torn at the seams. Steel beasts clash in a fiery tide. From the central plains to the oceans wide. From mountains high to the desert stone, march the heroes carved in chrome. Shield lickers run with a howling might. Command wolf strike in the dead of night. Godos roar on shattered ground, where liberty and steel are bound. That thunder stops, the earth will shake. For freedom's flame, make no mistake. Zoids, thanks to metal hearts of fire. Zoids, in the storm we rise up higher. Republic's thunder, steel defenders roll through burning skies and battles toll. Zoids, this is the final stand. Mad thunder and the Ultrasaurus command. From shadows deep and wasteland blight, march the claws of the endless night. Hellcats stalk with silken death, sinkers soar with missile breath. The red horn charges cold and grim, death storm awakes on chaos whim. Their warpath scorch the justice blind, a ruthless march for a twisted mind. One is thunder, one is doom. They clash beneath sea's blood-red moon. Giant horns clash, cannon fire rains. One will fall and break the chain. Mad thunder charges, defiant roar. While death's cover hungers for the war. Zoids, justice rolling like a storm. Zoids, in shattered cities hope is born. Barricades blaze the swamps and fire. Radar scream from the clouds like a choir. Marching for the light outside, with cannon fire and battle cry. Let the titles tremble, let darkness flee. The helling flame burns wild and free. With every Kados, terrorist and command wolf, we hold the line on sea's last gulf. The war drums thunder, the Zoids don't yield. The last stand roars on the battlefield. Zoids. heart, light and fury